Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Los Angeles, Trump, the Guard, and Marines. So obviously, the big news is the back and forth that occurred after the Federal District Court ordered that Trump had to return command of the National Guard back to California. The judge didn't couch his language in his order. Over 36 pages, U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer was pretty blunt, saying, quote, "At this early stage of the proceedings, the court must determine whether the president followed the congressionally mandated procedure for his actions. He did not." If that wasn't clear enough, he went on, quote, "His actions were illegal, both exceeding the scope of his statutory authority and violating the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. He must therefore return control of the California National Guard to the governor of the state of California forthwith." All of this granted a temporary restraining order that prohibited the use of National Guard troops the way Trump has been using them. The judge also said Trump's action, quote, "threatens serious injury to the constitutional balance of power between the federal and state governments, and it sets a dangerous precedent for future domestic military activity." Then the appeals court paused the order. There's been a lot of questions about that, and it's worth noting that the appeals court didn't actually rule on the case. They didn't issue any kind of statement disagreeing with the lower court's determination, which is kind of normal. Instead, they paused the lower court's order until they could have their own hearing, which is set for the 17th. That's still 4 days away, which means the Guard will be active and under federal control through this weekend. It places those commanders running the operation in an even more perilous situation, as they now have an indication their presence might not be lawful. Even though the Marines were not covered by this case, the paused outcome makes it unlikely that they will continue to train or face some other delay until the situation in LA is resolved. Morale is low. Sarah Strider of the Secure Families Initiative said, quote, "The sentiment across the board right now is that deploying military forces against our own communities isn't the kind of national security we signed up for." Calls for the GI Rights Hotline have shot through the roof. Steve Wolford, who is one of their resource counselors, said, quote, "We've been getting around 200 calls a month in normal times. I had 50 calls on Sunday. So almost 10 times as many daily calls." Wolford described one of the calls to the media. Quote, "This person never envisioned what they were signing up to do as being a situation where they might point a gun at a fellow U.S. citizen, who they might think is just exercising free speech rights or something like that. So this was someone who is very troubled about what's happening." Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.